Please welcome to BraveWords Streaming for Vengeance, one of my idols, Mikael Stanne from Dark Tranquillity, The Halo Effect, Cemetery Skyline. There's probably like two other bands you're going to talk about that you've joined today, right?
A few early this morning. Yeah, yeah.
Now,
No, it
I
is all
must,
good. Good to see you, Tim.
yeah, no, great to see you. I will say I spent my morning with this in my ears, biking around Lake Ontario with
Ooh,
a new record. And
nice.
it takes, I need like the most powerful driving music. Like I need like Rain and Blood. I need like Marduk. But the
Oh
new
yeah,
record, wow, it is a
yeah.
powerful statement, dude. Yes, it is
Excellent. Glad
amazing.
to hear it.
No, it's absolutely amazing. But
Cool.
something really strange because in the past year, and I never thought that I'd get out of my little small southern Ontario town, but
Uh,
I've seen you actually four times, which is
yeah.
right. How fucked is that? So in a good
Uh,
way. But yeah,
yeah.
in Toronto on a cruise ship in Sao Paulo, and I'm going to see you at Summer Breeze, Germany in a couple of weeks.
Ooh, you're coming.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes,
Awesome.
yeah. We're one of this. Brave Words is one of the sponsors, so
Yeah.
I
Well,
had
that
to
I
ask
know.
you
Yeah.
this.
So, oh,
I had to ask
fantastic.
you this question.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you were a kid? Was it ever a mission that you just had to leave this town and do something else?
No, actually not. No. I always liked it here. Like I never sure maybe, you know, going to shows. I dreamed of going to Copenhagen, or England to see a metal show.
Right.
That's probably what I dreamed about the most. And then of course there was a time when you felt like, oh, maybe a tour. Imagine, I remember like the At the Gates guys, they were the first of my friends to do a proper tour in 93, 94, something like that.
Right.
And I was
Right.
like, wow, it must be awesome. But I never dreamed of leaving the town or going somewhere else, or like traveling. Maybe, I don't know, like it was nothing I thought about at the time. We grew up in a very comfortable, nice area. So I didn't really feel the need. But now I've been absolutely everywhere. So there you go. Like that's how that turned out.
Well, you also grew up in a region surrounded by the most incredible music, right?
Well, a lot of great music for sure. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's strange. Like that was never um part of the ambition of starting a band. Um, it was, if we can hang out here with friends in my parents' garage, or in our rehearsal rooms,
Mhm.
that's all you need. Like that
Right.
that whole thing came later, when you realize that you can actually travel, and it turned out to be something fantastic and something amazing that you can get enough of. But at the time, no, no, it was but strange now that I think about it.
Okay, the topic at hand is the record that's been enveloping me in the last few days, and it
Good.
really truly is a powerful statement. I was
Cool.
thinking there's one thing to master your instrument, but it's like it's another level to actually master the art of songwriting and try to bring out something fresh and new and be inspired yourself.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and of course that comes from experience, but also I think focus, right? And having uh, a vision is maybe a strong word for it, but I think that was something this time around that we talked about a lot. Like what do we imagine us to be going forward, and in the upcoming, couple of years, or where are we now? Like who are we as a band? A lot of things change, in the band, and lineup wise, and so we figured, like, how do we prove to ourselves, and hopefully everybody who listens to us, that we are relevant, and that we have something to say. And I think that became kind of like a driving force, and became like the purpose of this album, to really show that, yeah, we're here to further our, of course, our songwriting and craft and all that stuff, but also kind of that whatever it is that we do matters. And that was the hardest part, maybe, to get there, but at the same time, like that that gave us kind of like a reason to make sure that this was as good as it could possibly be, and be something that we can be proud of for years to come. you know.
So how do those conversations go when you really actually have to dig deep? This may sound silly, but I just thought it's like you're almost like
Well,
each other's psychiatrist, if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
but I mean, me and Martin
Right?
have been in the band since he was in '99, and those are the things that we talk about. Like, how do we feel about things? Like, how do we feel about the band? How do we feel about touring? And how do we feel about the world around us as we are entertainers? Um, like when we started touring right after the pandemic, all of a sudden, like, and we had just left the Ukraine and just did some fantastic shows there, and all of a sudden, like, we're in a tour bus and in America somewhere, and the war breaks out, and we're kind of like, what just happened, like, to our friends, from Russia and from Ukraine, and here we are, in a tour bus, like, waiting for a show where we, scream and dance and play, and it just felt, I don't know, we felt insignificant in many ways. Like, we felt like, what, I don't know, like, what is our purpose? Like, why are we doing this right now? And you can tell, like, the vibe and the whole, I don't know, the atmosphere in the US was different, and we couldn't even get to you up in Canada. It was still closed,
Yeah,
and we were
yeah,
we were
exactly.
touring, and it was, I don't know, like, that profoundly changed the way that we view what we do. Maybe not just music, but in terms of just like what we spend our lives doing. And so it took a little bit of, I don't know, self um, realization, maybe, or a lot of thought, basically. Um, so then when we started this album, we had to kind of reckon with that, or think about it, or kind of make sense of it, and that became kind of the the what drove us to write this one, because it just had to be as good as we could possibly make it, so that we justify our reason to do this. And
Now, and that's like an underlying theme running through this record at the
yeah,
same time, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And it, um, yeah, like, and Johan is the same. Like, he thinks a lot, and he wants things to be very kind of meaningful and profound, and so it was easy to kind of just the three of us for longest time, just getting kind of to the starting point of the album, like, to finding that a balance between, kind of the old and the new, and what we actually wanted to do with this one, before we kind of started finalizing songs and stuff. But yeah, like, a lot of heavy topics that we needed to discuss in order to get to this place.
Very dark, but I found, and I've listened to the record like full on twice
Yeah.
in the last couple of days. It's indescribable. It's uplifting. How can something be so dark but uplifting at the same time?
Maybe it's, hopefully, I mean, that's how I feel when I listen to music that is heavy, profound, and whatever, like, deep, dark, all the, whatever way you want to describe it, but something that makes you feel that someone else has a different feeling that you have, or that you feel like, okay, someone is kind of speaks to me, so that it's easier for me to deal with, you know and I think that's it for me. Like, when I listen to something that is just, maybe depressing, or deals with depression, or deals with loss, or something like that, it uplifts me, because I know that someone else has been going through the same thing. Because maybe in the past, I've considered myself like an optimist, try to kind of see the good things, and the silver lining, and what have you. But lately I haven't, and I felt that this album maybe should be more dystopian in nature. But maybe that part is what kind of feels uplifting. That it's just, it's just bleak, just because that's what it feels like right now.
Right,
you know
right. No, I hear you. I hear you. Um, it reminds me of a quote that Tom Araya told me a long time ago. And he said, Tim, we've been on this planet for how many millions of years, and we still can't fucking get along,
Yeah,
right?
and still can't even um, agree on what's true or not, or what's real or not, even, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, exactly.
fundamental things like that, and we just can't do it. Just can't do it. Scary. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's yeah. So the feeling we had was kind of like, yeah, it's just gonna get worse for a while before it gets better. And so we imagine kind of like this, yeah, the dystopian version of a future. Like if it just, how far will things go, and how bad can it possibly get? And that was kind of like where we were in our minds, as we were writing, and that's something that we kind of talked to Niklas, who does all the cover artwork and stuff like that as well. Kind of like, how do you make sense of that, and and what will you do, like visually, and that's how we came up with the cover, and also we came up with the title together and that kind of stuff. So that was interesting as always as well, and I love how it came out. So I'm really happy about that.
Talk to me about your voice and how you balance the Cookie Monster vocals with your beautiful voice. Although some may say the Cookie Monster is a beautiful voice as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, but yeah, I mean, it's mostly about, it's a strong uh, type of expression. Like that's always viewed, kind of death metal and thrash and
Mm.
like extreme metal, like how important it is to just scream about things, because there are a lot of emotions and feelings that just, for me, kind of requires it or calls for it, you know. So
Right.
that's always been my thing, and the stuff that I'm most angry about, those are the things that goes into the lyrics and the songs, and then of course there are other aspects of our music, that requires something else. So that's what it's always been, and it's just a matter of refining it, of course. And I think I like to think that I've learned a lot over the last couple of years doing some other projects as well, so that I'm more comfortable with a bit of both, and more kind of melodic singing as well. So it and also, I think, like Martin Brännström, who's keyboardist and producer, and we recording in his studio. Like he gets better and better at just being that producer that kind of brings out the best in all of us, and make sure that whatever, every note on the album and every line of text and everything like that has the right place and the right spot, and together we can write some of the vocal melodies as well, that kind of, and then he can accentuate it with keyboards and sounds and all that stuff. So it just makes for like a whole kind of full experience. And I think we haven't really done that before in that sense. Like he has helped
Mhm.
me out a lot and just been part of it, but here we started working early on with all those things as well. So I demoed all the songs over and over again until we were kind of satisfied, and then Martin and I kind of worked together till we were just like, yeah, we are here right now. This is what the album needs, or the song needs, and then we can move on. So it's great to kind of collaborate and kind of work together to make sure that it's exactly what we all kind of want from this album, and not just what I feel, at that point
Right.
when I'm writing the lyrics, something else.
What's the difference in training and perfecting both those vocal styles? Is there anything different, or is just you just wing it?
Yeah, I wish I could say that I've been taking vocal lessons or anything like that, but I never
Yeah,
have. And but but it's just, I guess it's a lot of it is just a confidence thing. Like you start feeling better about it, and you have songs that are more suited to it, that is, and you find the right key to kind of work in, and that kind of stuff. And it also, I mean, yeah, I've been recording so much in the last couple of years,
right.
just here by myself in my little studio, but also in various studios. So I think yeah, through working with other people, I've learned more than I have in the last 10, 15 years or stuff like that. Because it's one thing to just keep doing the same thing, and you perfect that. But then if you're working with someone else, then that requires a different kind of set of skills, or you're flexing a different, muscle. But it's always a learning process, and I feel very feel more confident in singing now that I have many years. So that's hopefully a good thing at my age.
And you obviously, this is why I love you. You have not painted yourself in a corner.
No, I mean that would be. I mean, I would be fine, you know. And I always said this, you know, like the last, you know, before 2019, I was like, we don't have to. I don't have to do any side projects. I don't want to do anything else. Like DarkTranquillity has all these things that I like about music. We can do proggy, weird stuff. We can do really emotional stuff, and we can do really melodic or super angry death metal stuff. Everything is possible. Um, so like even like these other bands that I'm working with, it's more like a joy to kind of learn more and be better at singing and working with other musicians. But DT has, yeah, it's never in a corner. Of course, you know, everything falls under the melodic death metal genre, but I think
Right.
that's a pretty open and not as, you know, constrictive kind of boring moniker. It's something that, at least for us, we can do a lot of different things, and I like that.
How much fun is it to create all these different versions, the vinyl, the box sets, and how deep are you guys in with all that process? Is it like head first, everyone?
Yeah. For me it is like, maybe I'm me and Niklas, who designs the covers. We do it together, and also with the some of the product managers at Century Media. But
Right.
it is fun, like just to see what you can pull off, what you can do. The kind of artwork that Niklas does is so cool, and it just requires the biggest canvas, which is, you know, a good gatefold album, obviously. And I love it. I mean, I wish I could do even more. And we talk about box sets, and we talk about strange versions of vinyl records or CD boxes even, and it is fun. And we're fortunate to be on label that really loves it too. So they go, if we suggest something, they go like, let's do it. We can figure that out.
Right.
And I love, like, yeah, what was it, 2.5, 3 years ago when we recorded Moment, we did our own versions of the album that we printed here at a final pressing plant in Gothenburg, and we can do everything ourselves, like just everything, and just learning that part, you know, and being at the plant and pouring the vinyl and all the different colors into the machine, and just being totally hands-on. And we took Polaroid pictures that were unique in every version, and we packed everything in the plastic and we shipped it out ourselves. That was awesome. Like I really loved it. Unfortunately, that plant shut down, and as many of them have. But I love that. And then it's cool to, yeah, you might want to make the coolest product, you know. And it's not about selling, you know, large quantities of stuff. It's making sure the collectors and people like me are happy. And you, yes.
As well. So tell me, what is the glue that keeps this band together and excited and just moving ahead and just inspired?
I think it's, I mean, it's all of us. And I like the fact that, you know, even though I'm the, you know, only original member, Niklas, who started the band with me, is still very much part of it. You know, we used his music for one of the songs on the album, the last one, False Reflection. So he's very much involved. Martin, who was there from the very beginning, he is the manager for the band, and he listens to everything we do and makes sure that it's good enough for him to be proud of, and that he wants to keep working with us. So he never left, you know, even though he doesn't play guitar anymore. And Frederick, who was our guitar player between 93 and 99, who sadly passed away 2 years ago, we used some of the music that he wrote at the end of his life for one of the songs of this album as well. So, and he's always been there, you know, listening to everything and being part of it. So for me, it's just like this extended family of the band, even though you might see it, you know, one version of the band on stage, but like those people are always there and present and part of the creation. And I think, like, yeah, for me and Martin, obviously, Martin is the producer. He makes sure that nothing ever comes out of our studio that is not 100% Dark Tranquillity, of course,
Right.
and I do what I do. Like I don't know much else. So I'm just so maybe yeah. It's a big kind of still a kind of family that we stick together basically.
How do you keep the art separate in your head between Dark Tranquillity, the Halo Effect, and Cemetery Skyline? Love that name, by the way.
Cool. Yeah. Victor Brandt came up with it. It's awesome. It is very different. I mean, DT has a very certain style, something that we've been working on for such a long time. And for me, writing lyrics is you have to somehow think about all the 12 albums that came before this one and come up with something new.
Right.
Whereas the other bands are just, no expectations. It could be anything. And you find out ways to kind of find or ways to express something else that you normally wouldn't. And that maybe has been not off limits or anything like that, but just something that doesn't fit within the music of Dark Tranquillity. So that has been made it easy actually. I mean, just we have a few songs. Let's figure it out how to make the most out of them and just move along, And Cemetery Skyline obviously different because it's very different style and it's different style of singing that I'm not used to that much. And but that was fun too to kind of write songs that fit into like this gothic romantic theme and vibe. And I could conjure up like a lot of like fun and tragic things in my mind that maybe you think about a lot but you never really write about. So
Right.
for me the difference is huge. So it which makes all things easier.
Can you give me just a quick band update on the other two bands?
Yeah, sure. The Halo Effect album drops in January, which is
Okay.
cool. And it's been done for a year now actually.
Wow.
But with release schedule, we have to fit it together with like the DT album, which comes out in August. So by the end of August there will be a single and that kind of stuff for this upcoming album. And so I'm very excited about that. And then Cemetery Skyline has four singles out, and we have the album coming out in October, late October. So that's super cool. And we just released some singles and an EP with Grand Cadaver, my old school death metal band. So it's a lot of things going on. But now I recorded 3 albums that are in the can, so to speak, and comes out soon. So my idea, at least, and I'm hoping I'm going to stick to it, is that I don't write anything for a year or two and just enjoy this and go out and travel and scream on stage and meet people. But who knows? No promises.
You're hilarious. Most festivals and the cruises have a rule where bands, they try not to repeat bands every year.
Yeah.
And is that one of the reasons why you're in 3 bands so you can be on every cruise?
Oh, that would be fun actually. I mean,
Every Vakken?
they wanted us to come with 2 bands on next year's 70,000, but I'm on tour already in Europe, so that didn't work. But this year is going to be my 2nd year at Prog Power in Atlanta.
Nice.
And I'm booked for next year as well. So maybe that is part of it. Never thought of it that way, or maybe I did, but no. But it's true. I mean, that there are some festivals that I would love to go to every year, and sometimes I do, regardless if we're playing or not. But
Right.
yeah, this does help. But it also means I'm rarely at home and I'm constantly on a plane somewhere. But
Yeah.
it's on me. I did this to myself.
Do you miss home?
Always when I'm away, but now I'm home for 3 days, and then we're going to Slovenia. But yeah, I really do. Of course, I love touring and I love being away and I love performing. But it's frustrating not being able to be back. So we try to time it as well as possible and not be away for too long, and to have proper time at home in between tours and shows and that. So and also sometimes travel with family and that. But it's it's getting increasingly hard, that's for sure.
I know it's kind of late-ish for you, but do you have time for a couple more questions?
Sure.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Speaking of the cruise, this is really funny. The forum says you are one of the most viewed and friendly people in terms of rock stars.
Ooh.
And
I don't know what that
where,
means, but
where does that stem from? Because I don't know, you're very social and very friendly. Love it.
well, I like it too. What can I say?
Obviously.
No, no, but I don't know. Like I love going to shows. I love going to festivals. Love seeing bands, and it's always fun to speak with like-minded people, or metalheads and crazy fans, and I love it, because I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, that's always great. But then, of course, it's great to talk to people who care deeply about our music and have their own stories to tell, how they discovered us or what songs played a important part of aspects of their life, or they will tell me about how why they travel to certain concerts or even move to Sweden sometimes, just so that it could be closer to the bands they like, so it's fascinating, and it can be heartbreaking sometimes, and really really difficult too. But at the same time, like, that's also part of the reason we're doing this, because if I know how important music is to me and how it helps me every day, deal with things. And if we can be a small part in someone's life just because of the music that we write, I want to hear about it,
Right.
and I love when we have time, to talk to people before or after the shows, or at festivals and that kind of stuff. So I love that. I mean, that's a huge part of like the motivation to do this.
On the cruise, we did the rapid fire, and you had a great time, and so did I, watching you answer all these quick little questions.
Yeah.
And I've got rapid fire part two.
Okay. Ooh. All right.
Are you
Let's do
ready?
it.
Are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
ready?
Always.
What questions are you tired of answering?
I don't know. I mean, it used to be like, what's so special about Sweden? Like, why are there so many great bands? And what's the death metal scene in Gothenburg right now? Those maybe are the questions I've answered the most. It's still kind of interesting because the answer changes, but yeah, but maybe I'm not as excited about those questions as I used to be.
Is there any gig that you regret that you turned down?
Yeah, actually, um, I, you know, I'm, obviously, I'm really bad at saying no to things,
Would you like another
and
drink?
always. But no, no, normally, with DT shows, like we say yeah to everything if the money's good and we can do it, so that's easy. But I was offered to be part of a show at Hellfest this year, where Andreas Kisser and some of his friends kind of put together this band benefiting the deforestation of the Amazon.
Oh, yes, yes. Andreas
Yeah.
is in that band, right? Yes.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I think he was kind of like the one who kind of started it, and
Yep.
there are many different singers, and not all of them could make it, and they asked me to kind of fill in for one guy that I look up to greatly, and I don't think I should mention who it is, but it doesn't matter because I couldn't do it, and I regret that because we just had a trip that just got, yeah, we were there the day before, but then we had to leave, so I had to say no to that, and I wish I didn't, because of course that was a great kind of experience. I trust, and some great friends played in the band, and I wish I could, because I wanted to be part of that a lot, and I wanted to kind of, yeah, see it. So I regret, and I wish I could have done it.
You'll love this. It's a real quick story. I spoke to Chris Slade because BraveWords Records just released his timeline record, and
Oh
I asked
yeah,
and asked him the same questions. Obviously the Razor's Edge, Manfred Band, and
yeah.
he actually was Tom Jones' drummer. We're talking in the '60s, right? And
Ooh,
he said,
how cool
Tim,
is that? Yeah.
I had to say to Elvis, I can't play drums at your Las Vegas residency because Tom Jones didn't want him to be.
Oh,
Do
my
it.
story seems so insignificant now.
Well, I didn't mean to do that to you, but it was not funny. I turned down
Yeah.
Elvis. I was too busy, he said.
That, I mean, that's a small club to be in. The people who said no to Elvis, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Oh
exactly.
man.
So aside from your passport and your
Uh,
phone, what do you always travel with?
Headphones, of course. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm happy if I can listen to like podcasts, books, and movies, and albums. I'm good most of the time. So I pack very lightly. I don't need much. Yeah, maybe a sleeping pill and a bottle opener, but that's about it.
So your teeth are for, no?
Oh yeah, that works too.
When was the last time you actually opened a piece of physical fan mail?
Oh, um, it was the last I can remember. That's probably been more because I've received some letters that are, short letters and maybe a drawing of me and stuff like that. So I received. It was actually really cool. We were in Istanbul a couple months ago, and a friend of mine that I met before, he's from Iran, and he's a big fan. And of course, if you live in Iran, you can only travel to certain countries, and it's Turkey being one of them. So I've already ever met him there. When DT plays in Turkey and Istanbul, like he will come there and see the show, and then and I was excited to see him. And then he brought his girlfriend, and she's an artist and a singer, but of course, like you're not allowed to be a female singer in Iran, so you have to keep it kind of secret.
Right.
And but she was so excited, and she's never been to a show of any kind because that's
Wow.
not something that you can do. So I invited them to come in and see uh our sound check, which was kind of long and stuff. And she had painted like this huge portrait of us with a long letter, like explaining how her, our music has just been a part of her life, but she's not allowed to listen to metal. You cannot buy records, you cannot access music the way that we are used to. So that was really profound, and like just and playing in front of her, and that was her first ever concert. A woman in her 35 years old or something like that. You're just not allowed. So being able to kind of make that happen and to get something back was fantastic. So that was one of the greatest fan mail of recent years.
We've had probably my last question for you. We've had lots of talk about Rush. What was the last Rush song you listened to?
Oh, last one I listened to. It was no, it was yeah, I listened to this Drumeo thing, that this YouTube channel where they have a lot of drummers like interpret other bands, and
Right.
they had the drummer from the Mars Volta, and they play a song that they think that drummer has never heard, and then it was Tom Sawyer, and they played it to her, and she was like, never heard this song, but she cannot hear it with drums. She only hears like isolated tracks of bass and guitar and vocals.
Right.
So
Right.
she comes up with her own like just rhythm, for the track, just on the fly basically. And that was cool. So that's less the Rush song that I listen to. But I have my trusty Rush glass here that I bought at the Henderson Brewery in Toronto, at least. So that's always with me.
Very nice. Very nice. I will have a Rush beer in your honor when it's 5 o'clock teeny time. But
Oh, hey, it's 9 o'clock at night here, so
I know, I know. I
I'm
thought,
free to drink as much as I can, and I actually
yeah.
have a few Rush beers that I bought over there. They're finally available actually in Gothenburg, thanks
Oh, wicked.
to Peter Evers and his bar 2112. So
Oh, yes. Yeah,
hey,
yeah, yeah. Nice.
yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah,
I have to, just because when listening to the new record,
yeah,
it just kind of brought me back when moving pictures came out. That's when I was like late public school, so music was really like attacking my life in a good way.
yeah,
And then the keyboards came in. So my favorite records, I think, Moving Pictures,
yeah.
Signals, and Power
Yes.
Windows is
Oh,
one of the most. So I'm listening to your record. I'm like, God, you must be thinking about Rush when you're trying to intersplice keyboards into sound, maybe?
I mean, definitely at first when we started the band, like I wanted it, you know, to have some kind of presence in the band, but we didn't know anyone who could play. Basically, I mean, there was not a lot of metalheads who were into playing keyboards. Basically, you know, everybody wanted to play
That
guitar
was
or sing or
taboo.
drums. That too, of course. But then I met Martin like in '97 or something like that, and he was in a synth band, and he played kind of synthy pop. And we asked him to join the band, and this was '98, I think, before Projector. And he said, I don't know, like I don't want to play, you know, in a metal band. Like, what's the point of that? Like, what is the room for someone like me, you know? And then when we had recorded Projector, I played it to him, and he was like, "Hey, there's actually is room here, you know." And this was a very, you know, experimental album for us, and very proggy in our own way, you know, based on kind of more Scandinavian prog and that kind of stuff. But then he was kind of, yeah, all right, I'll get into this. And then I played, of course, a lot of music for him that you know, like, yeah, I think you're gonna dig this, and I think you're gonna dig this, but it actually hasn't really I haven't gotten through to him with, you know, Geddy's keyboard playing. You know, he's like, I'm not that kind of guy. I program my stuff, and I make sounds, and I make kind of soundscapes. But then when I read Geddy's book that just came out, like, that's how he works too. Just not what you see, or maybe not what you hear when you listen to the albums. So when we talk about keyboards, that's who I think about. I think about Rick Wakeman. I think about Geddy's playing, and that's how I communicated to Martin. But for him, that's not an influence. But hopefully, I've gotten through to him a little bit, you know, just subconsciously, because that's part of the daily listening routine on the tour bus, you know. So maybe it kind of seeps in anyway, you know, against his will.
He's going to wake up someday and walk up to you and said, now I get it.
Yes. Oh, I look forward to that day so much.
Thank you so much. You are such a treasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As I say, we
Tim,
will
always a
see
pleasure,
you
man.
in a couple of weeks. I never asked for anything. I was wondering if, and I will bring so much Rush paraphernalia for you from Henderson Brewery. Do you
Ooh.
have a spare can of that LG beer?
Actually, I do. Yeah, yeah. Remind me. But yeah. I'll bring one for you. Right. What day are you coming? Are you coming on Tuesday already to Summer
I'll
Breeze?
be there. Wednesday starts as the nuclear blast night, right? We'll be there on Tuesday too.
Because we have a very special secret little thing going on Tuesday.
Can I connect with you through Messenger?
Yes, of course.
Is it? I
Yeah,
think we're friends, I believe.
sure.
We're friends.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Then I will remind you. I will.
yeah, yeah.
But what
I'll
Rush
bring one.
beer stuff do you own? Did you buy much when you were there?
Yeah, I have the 3-pack, and I have the lager, and I bought like the what was it? Signals and one other that were kind of like the big 75 centiliter ones. And that's the one I have.
I'll get like the most recent ones for you.
All right, all right, all right.
For sure.
Much appreciated.
Can you travel with this stuff? Can you travel with
I can.
liquids
Yeah, yeah.
and put
Yeah,
them somewhere? Okay. Some people just don't want
absolutely.
liquids because they
I know,
like
but no. We have enough
okay.
spare luggage, I think. So that's good.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Dude, thank you so much. Okay. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Cheers.
absolutely.
Okay, bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.